Jabba the Hutt once sat upon that throne.
I intend to rule with respect.
I've known you a long time, Boba.
What should I do about him?
Trust your instincts.
Try spinning. That's a good trick.
Wizard.
You heard it up top. Once again on a very, very special episode from a galaxy far, far away. We return to the topic we love on this podcast. Star Wars, talking Book of Boba Fett here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, I don't know, Colin Fennec or something like that.
I'll be the Mike DeLorean.
Ooh.
And this is Jacob the Hutt.
Nice.
I was hoping you'd be Jakku like Grogu.
Yeah.
Jakaba the Hutt, yes. But we're here on Tatooine again, our favorite planet in all of Star Wars. Disney's favorite too, apparently. Yeah. With Kenobi on the horizon and all that, and Mando. But no, we got the Book of Boba Fett, into the frying pan and out of the sarlacc, as they say. Yeah, so Disney Plus new show, streamed it, talking about it, A lot of people, I guess, anticipated it because it's Boba Fett. Everyone saw him in the background. He's this cool character. He never got to do anything cool. Shows up in Mandalorian. Does some cool stuff. He's back, baby. Got people talking. And then we have the series. But how about you guys? Colin, growing up, were you a Boba Fett guy? I see your card there. So.
I am. I've got my card here. I'm excited. We are recording this from Jabba's Palace. Joe is in carbonite, so he's not going to tell you his little background. But yeah, I've got my dumb little original Star Wars trading card here, and I guess it will devolve into a rant like any guy our age would have of, why did you like Boba Fett out of all the dumb Star Wars characters? He's an idiot who had no lines, and he doesn't do anything.
He just looks cool.
I would point Jacob to the card and respond with, he just looks cool. When you were a kid, you just prescribed all this stuff to him, and now we have this crazy show with a backstory. So what's your experience with him, Jacob?
Well, I've always liked Boba Fett, his look, his helmet. He's a bounty hunter. I like bounty hunters. I like that angle and everything. But I think here's what happened, right, with this show. When they announced the Mandalorian show, people were like, oh, it's going to be a show about Boba Fett, right? But they're like, no, it's going to be a new character who's going to be a badass Mandalorian bounty hunter. And it was great. But then they're like, okay, now we're going to make our Boba Fett show. But we already gave all the cool character traits to Din Djarin, who's just a way better character.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's what happened with the Mandalorian, and that's why, or with Boba Fett, and that's why the show is the way it is, right?
Yeah.
Just to pause real quick, Jacob, and say, little Colin Brooks waiting to get on the school bus, looking at this card he has. If time traveler Jacob came back in time and was like, you think that guy's cool? Wait till Din Djarin comes out. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But fucking here we are, man.
Yeah.
And you're right. I agree with everything you just said.
And we'll get into it more here right after, the intro here. Full spoilers for Book of Boba Fett. So if you haven't seen it, watch it before the next segment. And for me, too, I've always kind of thought Boba Fett, I liked him because he was cool looking. He's got a jetpack and a cool helmet and a really cool gun. Probably one of the coolest looking guns in all of Star Wars, maybe next to Han Solo's blaster, I would argue. So just iconic stuff, a little cape action, he's cool. Had that mystique, and I think when you have smugglers and bounty hunters, it's like just having him in the background doing nothing added so much depth to the universe.
Right. Well, that's the thing with the original series. He didn't do that much in it. He was just kind of in the background a lot. He looked cool. He put Han Solo in carbonite, but he kind of went out he didn't go out in a cool way. He got pushed into a fucking sarlacc pit by a blind guy.
I think he gets a Wilhelm stream too.
Yeah, he does. He does. Amazing, Mike. And again, I'm glad we're getting the answers to the sarlacc pit, Jacob, quote unquote, I guess. But just again, to blow people's mind to the past of it all, just to what Mike said of his minor appearances. In the time before the internet, where there was no screen grabs, it's not like I was going to set up a camera in front of the TV take a picture and then come to you guys at that same bus stop I just mentioned and go, well, guys, this is my favorite scene in Empire Strikes Back where Darth Vader assembles the bounty hunters. No, it was a VHS tape I had with my brother. We would put it in, get to that point, pause it, and look at each of those characters. IG-88, Dengar, all those crazy ones, Boss. Yeah. And you would look at Boba Fett, and you would just go like, because my brother would say, who's your favorite out of these guys? I'd be like, well, it's fucking Boba Fett. Yeah. Like, look at that guy. He looks incredible. Out of the guys with the bandages on him and the space lizard, it's like, come on.
Had, one guy would just be wearing like a Wolfman costume in the cantina and be like, that's probably a Wolfman.
Bring that character back for Obi-Wan. Bring the Wolfman.
I want that little bat that was getting probably a Bloody Mary. I'm sure they were serving underage, that little bat guy. He shouldn't have been allowed that far. Right. But so yeah, speaking of Obi-Wan and what we might get a backstory of, hopefully the Wolfman. And yeah, obviously Boba was the coolest. And, we were thinking you might see some of these guys, a Dengar, which, the book has not closed maybe completely, chapter 2 or whatever, we'll see. But for now, we're going to go and dive right in to the Book of Boba Fett. Dangerous Journey. Okay, I can't speak. I got to hit the back to tank.
A bantha.
Like a bantha.
Like a bantha.
There we go.
We're back. And we're opening the Book of Boba Fett. That's right, folks. We're talking about that goofy
it's an interesting book.
Bounty hunter. Yeah.
So, the main character's not in it that much.
Yeah, it gets written out.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah, it's an interesting book. I guess, we talked about it a little bit on like one of our watches, just kind of, we started watching the first few episodes, initial impressions, but, I think broadly, just to explain the scope of the show, it kind of details with flashbacks of Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc and then modern day scenes of him trying to take over Jabba's palace that we saw at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. And then kind of his journey of assembling allies and trying to rule by his own code that's less ruthless than Jabba would be. And there's some surprise faces, some allies that show up, and some new foes that maybe appeared in some other Dave Filoni-helmed projects. And it all kind of comes together, and that's what's in this book. And some of it worked, some of it didn't. I say, Jacob, what's something that does work for you in the Book of Boba Fett? Because there's also a lot of the contrary, in my opinion. But let's start being nice.
What does?
Let's be nice.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think, for the most part, I like the content of this show. So I think it's like there's interesting stories, but my biggest problem with it is sort of the way it's paced and the way the different storylines are edited together with the flashbacks, the current day Boba stuff where he's not really doing that much. And then, some of the later stuff with Mando and those guys. So
you almost have a tangent, like kind of side journey for a couple episodes. Takes us away from Boba completely.
To say something nice about it, like I did think there was things that I liked about it, so there like the content of I just think if it was edited better, if it was paced better as a full season, I would have liked it a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, there's some weird creative decisions that I'm sure we're going to discuss in depth, but I overall that there's some solid ideas. It's, hit and miss on the execution. Colin, what's something that you think kind of works at least?
I hate to give a backhanded answer like Jacob just gave too. Right. It's really cool and unique that Tamura Morrison and Ming-Na Wen, two people of color who are above the age of 40, are the star.
They're above the age of 60. I think they're like 60.
Above the age of 50, above the age of 60.
Yeah. Either one's a death sentence in Hollywood, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are stars of what would be, no matter what, a remarkably popular show, because Star Wars is a remarkably popular brand. I don't think they live up to that with Ming-Na Wen, with the writing for her, unfortunately. And with Tamura, I really just cannot defend the acting as much as I would love to. But
okay,
it's great that they have this show.
All right, well, cool. All right, cool. We're all doing backhanded compliments then. All right,
yeah. I'm trying to, say something nice while also.
Yeah.
I'll say something mean just to follow the trend, and then say something nice immediately after. So my favorite thing about the show is everything that had to do with the Mandalorian and not the Boba Fett side, right? That's the problem with the show. And we'll get into that more. But honestly, something that I like from the Boba side, because I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about Mando versus Boba and what worked, what didn't.
Yeah.
But what does work for me on the Boba side, the strongest aspect for me was the Tuscan Raider story. You know, he gets out of the Sarlacc pit, he loses his armor to the Jawas, he's left for dead in the desert, and he's kind of taken prisoner, and then slowly gains the respect, and you know, he becomes a respected warrior and a member of the tribe, let's say. And you get a lot of cool stuff with the Tuscans, and I really like that. And that's the thing that hurts the most, is there's a way in which that through line of his relationship with the Tuscans, and it could play all the way to the finale. And I was talking with Adam, friend of the show, Adam, who's been on many of our Star Wars episodes. He was like, the main problem with it was motivation. What was Boba's motivation? And if you just have it set up where the Tuscans are being exploited from the spice trade, the Mos Espa government knows about it, Bib Fortuna's cool with it, then Boba's like, these are my people. I'm going to take over and get them respect. And then you get them like part of society, trading with the locals, like the guys from Freetown. It's like, oh yeah, we already like the Tuscans. We killed a crate dragon. Like we're trying to integrate, you know? Like you could have had this whole thing where he's trying to kind of reclaim the planet for the Tuscans and have them being pushed around by everybody because they were there first, you know? And they show up to help. I don't know. That's it for me.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think the best part, the best non-Mando episode was the episode where you see him bonding with the Tuscans and they have that train raid and everything. I love that.
The spirit
but
journey.
I think it's the way it cuts between the flashbacks, which are more interesting for Boba's story, and then the present day stuff where it's just kind of like he's just kind of treading water, waiting for the season climax, and it's way less interesting. They should have been able to integrate those storylines a little better. And personally, I wouldn't have just killed off all the Tuscans. Like I would have brought them back in that fight or something. Like
have
you're
that
kind of
warrior
saying,
Tuscan like do something. Like have them.
Yeah. Like as it is, they just kill that whole tribe as a way for Boba to have some adversity.
Have to have somewhere to go. So he has to leave the tribe essentially. How do we get him to go somewhere else? Murder them all.
And interestingly, it's white savior trope, but obviously not. But it's
human
it's
savior
just
trope.
Interesting that it's incredibly lazy writing. Yes.
Yeah, and I prefer.
But I think that
go ahead.
that really worked for me, like the Lawrence of Arabia type of thing, because I felt like they were teaching him things and he was teaching them things. Like they showed him how to drink water out of those gourds and stuff, and then he teaches them to ride speeders, which they don't know how to do. So it's like they're kind of symbiotically helping each other, and I think he really learned to like bond with this tribe and become one of them. And when they do that like haka dance at the end, like that was really a moving scene, I thought.
Yeah, and the way the gaffy stick, that whole spirit journey, a lizard crawls in your brain and you trip out, and then you find the branch of the tree, and then it's like just as like important of a ritual and beautiful of a ritual as like a Jedi creating their lightsaber. Like it carries just as much cultural weight, And I loved seeing that. And so for the Tuscans not to help save the people of Mos Espa and change the hearts and minds with troops on the ground, so to speak, like, wow, you really helped us get these crime lords. Then they could patrol the desert and make sure the spice isn't getting traded, report to the local authorities if there's some shit going on. Everybody's together, and then now Boba Fett's like king shit at Tatooine, making sure there's no crime. He turned it into not a cesspool. That's pretty cool. Instead, we get what we get, and that's the problem.
And I really hated that decision to just kill that whole tribe. At least keep, like the one they singled out that was like really good at fighting, like the one wearing black or whatever, like keep them alive. I don't know if it was a male or a female,
the
but
youngling too.
I even thought maybe it would be a romantic interest for him, Jacob. It's interesting that you say that.
I mean,
I think it may have been a female.
Last
I think
Samurai.
they were kind of hinting that it was, but it's not really said explicitly. But I just think killing off that whole tribe was just such a kind of a cheap move to give some drama to Boba's arc, and then have them show up in the final battle instead of like the mods, everyone's favorite characters, right? The mods, the Wookiee and everything. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's right there. So it's the biggest missed opportunity, I think, is to carry the Tuscan plot thread through everything, and then also telling it linearly, perhaps. This is becoming like a diagnosed Boba Fett, but it's like, if you just start with the Sarlacc pit, then he bonds with him, then he's like, well, what's going on? I'm going to go kill Bib Fortuna. Now, where's the mayor? What the fuck? Why are you pushing these Tuscans around? Why are you bringing drugs here? It stops now. I'm on Jabba's throne. And like, that's the thrust. And then everyone gets pissed off.
Like, look how they, told the story of Mandalorian season 1, where he starts out, he's a bounty hunter, then he finds Grogu at the end of like episode 1, and then it kind of follows linearly, and you're kind of following along as he's going from adventure to adventure, but it doesn't have like these crazy flashbacks and ruin the pacing with that way.
Yeah, and again, it's easy. He needs troops. Go to there's his tribe, but there's many other tribes, and now he's brokering this peace treaty amongst all the Tuscans that is unprecedented, right? And they're working together for that's cool, and that's how he meets Cobb Vanth and the Freetown people, and like, I don't know, it's just
we got none of that, Mike.
It's the first miss of Star Wars, in my opinion, like shows, right?
So let's talk about that then real quick, and just say. It's the same creative team. We talked about how in 2019, this guy named The Mandalorian comes out, Din Djarin, right? Now, that is made by Jon Favreau, king of the Disney machine, right? This is his stab at Star Wars. He gets to be the first person who makes Star Wars television, okay? We've never had that before. That was a concept they pitched to Fox in, like,
other than the animated shows.
Yeah, but live action, where they said, here, this is actually
canon.
In the Star Wars universe.
Right.
It never went through. Here we are. Jon Favreau gets his crack. Like you said, Jacob, he chooses to basically do Boba Fett, but not do Boba Fett.
He has an IG-88 that's not IG-88 too.
He literally takes every element he can to sneak in and carbon copy it. And here we are. We should say same creative team. A lot of the same directors. Robert Rodriguez,
Bryce Dallas Howard, Dave Filoni, again, creator of Clone Wars.
Dave Filoni. Writing, I'm sure, even though it seems like Jon Favreau, WGA, I would love to see the arbitration here. How he gets the full singular writing credits for these shows mystifies me. But this is the third season, quote unquote, of a Star Wars TV show. So when a creator has unparalleled success with something, no restrictions, and is making something in the same vein and through the same process that they made that first masterpiece through, how do we get this disillusion of quality? How does it fall apart like this?
Yeah, well, can I pose something? And also, think about this, we're talking about the success of The Mandalorian. The show we were discussing that doesn't exist is a good version of this show that doesn't have the cameo from The Mandalorian, which I would argue is, like you said, a better property.
Snip
so we just created a more captivating Boba Fett focused show that doesn't have to have Din Djarin and Grogu and stuff, right? Because that's a banger of an episode for season 3, episode 1 of Mandalorian. But anyway, it almost feels like when they make a video game and then they rush a sequel. It's like, well, we already have the sets, we have the assets, we have the character models. So let's just kind of slap it together. We got this other stuff coming up. We got to hold people, tide them over for Ahsoka and Kenobi. Let's just slap this thing together, make sure it has teasers for all that crap, and done. That's how I kind of look at what the function of it is from a Disney business standpoint, unfortunately.
Well, I think I think it all comes down to what did they want this show to be? I think they don't really know. They didn't really know, and that's what the problem is. So, okay, compare these MCU TV shows of the last year to the Star Wars Mandalorian and Boba Fett. Each of those series has its own self-contained thing. Even though it's in the MCU, there's all kinds of cameos all the time, crossovers. They each have their own kind of aesthetic and vibe to them. Whereas Boba Fett, to compare to Mandalorian, it's the same thing basically. It's the same show. It's just focusing on Boba Fett for like the first half of it. And then the 2 episodes that Mando is prominently in are just 2 episodes of The Mandalorian.
Yes. Now, that's an amazing comparison because what if in the middle of WandaVision, you got your whole season, and then in Loki, by episode 6, they were like, did we mention there's another WandaVision episode?
Right.
They did 2 of them.
That's insane.
Like, what's Wanda up to right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. At least in the second episode, he goes back to standing and not saying anything for a couple seconds, and that's more appropriate than like his original appearances. So that's a good Easter egg.
Yes, yeah. And he's in
fans.
the palace.
If you like your Boba not original. Talking, we did it.
Yeah, that's where you want him.
That's your cameo, yeah.
Yeah. But I just think they didn't have a strong idea of what a Boba Fett show could be or should be, and they just it feels like they just kind of winged it, and then like halfway through they're like, we need to get the Mandalorian back in here to like spice things up and hold people's attention. And I think that's why we got the product we got.
And I think the issue with that too, Colin, like you were saying, he already did his Boba Fett show. He just named him Din Djarin, right? Like all the talk was that the creative was originally intended to be Boba, and Disney was like, we're not ready to commit to you having that character. So he's like, all right, I'll create another character that's basically the same thing. So it's really difficult to make Boba do anything interesting, because as Jacob said, they've already done it. And then when you put them on screen together, it makes Boba look far inferior. It's like Shawn Michaels and Janetti. Like one of them's the Janetti, and it's definitely Boba Fett.
Even physically, Mike, just to ride on this here, because I am curious about your guys' opinion on who has the better armor. But the guy who plays Din Djarin, John Wayne's grandson, looks a lot more like me in body type than Tamura Morrison, who I'm not saying is an extremely large person, but when you add armor onto people, you want to be adding onto a base that's as little as possible, so that the armor is what's coming out and getting accentuated. On Tamura Morrison, Boba Fett does not look good anymore. Boba Fett looks like he is tired, like he cannot really go out and like do anything. He's an old man. He's kind of like useless Jacob.
That's kind of why he worked better as a supporting character who showed up in The Mandalorian. Once he had his own spin-off, it's like they're like, we want to do a Boba Fett spin-off now. But it's just not interesting to focus on him as the main character all the time. I mean, my whole take was that, you know, they just should have, and I think a lot of people agree, they just should have had season 3 of The Mandalorian. It should have been like The Mandalorian season 3, semicolon, the Book of Boba Fett, and integrate, you know, his storylines into, but also kind of cut away each episode to show what Din Djarin is doing.
You have an A and B plot,
Yeah, I think that would have worked better. But he doesn't look great in the armor anymore. But I think they kind of lean into the aspect of him being like 60 years old and him being like an aging bounty hunter versus Din Djarin, who's still, you know, a young man who's his fighting prime.
Right. And the other thing is, you know, people, you know, you watch Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, you imagine what a Boba Fett show could be. And it's like, okay, you want him doing cool stuff. If you're classic Boba Fett, you want him bounty hunting, like we said, he shows up episode 1, I'm not a bounty hunter. It's like, okay, so now we're going to watch this guy. What else is Boba Fett known for? Diplomacy? Great, because that's what he's going to be doing a lot, and he's not very good at it.
He's a crime lord who doesn't want to do crime,
and he doesn't fight much,
people.
So you don't get kind of hardly any of the classic Boba Fett antics you would want. So it doesn't even deliver the fan service.
And Jon Favreau's take on him truly seems to be, he wasn't a bounty hunter. He was a scoundrel in the same way Han Solo was, like, you know, until the rebel pulled him around. The Sand People are basically his rebel alliance, and they've cooled him down. And you know what? I'm going to give him his own Wookiee. He deserves that too. And you're just like, oh, wow, you're very literally taking it that way.
He does get his own Wookiee. And is that a Disney mandate? Like, we can't have people liking a murderer, so don't, like, turn him into a good guy, right?
I mean, that was their attempt, is that he goes through, you know, character growth with coming out of the Sarlacc pit. I mean, he had a near-death experience by almost, you know, being dissolved by a Sarlacc. So that would change someone to a certain extent. And then being kind of nursed back to health by these Tuscans really changed his outlook on things. And I think that's what they're attempting to do, whether or not it works for you all the way or not. They're kind of showing that he's changing in his old age and becoming more of a good guy or a chaotic neutral or something.
It's just, I wish he would have at least used some of his fighting skills to get shit done. So much of what we see is like either Fennec Shand doing everything or planning it. Like he's pretty passive. Once he sits on the throne, he really doesn't do much. There's a scene where he's like, we're not just going to sit here and let him walk up to our door. And then all of a sudden the droid comes up. The Hutts are here. They came to your door. You don't even have to do anything. Just you literally, oh man.
Yeah, you know, I kind of like that aspect because it's like he's he's old. He wants to retire and just be the daimyo of Mos Espa. But when he does have to kind of fight, he just kind of, I do like the way they sort of film his fight scenes because, you know, he's not probably the best stunt guy right now anymore. Right. So they kind of lean into that where he's this aging guy, but when you know, it comes to it, he can throw down and just kind of go super brute mode and
grizzled
fight
veteran
whoever he needs to. Yeah.
But to Mike's point of his lack of creativity and how he handles things, and I would say even arguing in his style and how he fights off things when he's surrounded by people with shields and stuff, and he's just like being very stupid.
Wearing a jetpack.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fly away though. He is truly seems so adrift and going through the motions It's almost like he's literally like, Jabba had a Rancor. I should absolutely have a Rancor. That's what the Rancor Pit is for, isn't it? Like, I'll just do... Like, he's truly... When he says, I want these people to have a better life, that seems to literally just end... That thought ends at, well, I'll just walk around and tell people I want them to have a better life. You're like, well, right. How are you going to accomplish that?
Yeah, he wants to be Jabba, but not do any bad things. So just be like a benevolent crime lord who doesn't do crime or kill people, but wants to look out for the citizens of the city. But like, what kind of service?
So run for mayor.
If a mobster, exactly, Mike. If a mobster came up to you and was like, "I'm not saying you have to pay me protection anymore, but I want you to know I'm the one watching this neighborhood. If there's any issues, you should come to me." You would say, "Well, yeah, that's an elected official. You're the mayor or you're the governor."
Right. And like,
essentially, he does want to be the mayor, but the mayor of Mos Espa is like this corrupt figurehead, basically. So he wants to basically throw out the Pike Syndicate and take over and rule the town benevolently.
Right. But not from the position of mayor, from the position of crime lord in his palace. He doesn't want to sit in that office.
Yes, and never forget, I'll be up there on that hill, where spiders like roam around.
He wants to work from home as daimyo.
You'll come and see me, and if you stand on a 2 foot by 2 foot square, so help me God, I will send you down to that motherfucker.
Drop you in, or maybe I will.
But but I'm not cruel like Jabba. I'm just kidding. You're cool. Have a good day. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, you should. I'd rather see a show where he runs for mayor.
Yes.
Maybe that's season 2.
Basically, because Fennec Shand is a far more effective. Even she's like, hey, Jabba made a lot of money off of spice. Do you want a lot of money? He's like, no, we're not doing crime. And she's like, always like, why aren't we doing crime? Like, we need to kill these people. They're going to kill us. And then she just goes and does it for him. She just goes and kills the Pikes. She's like, definitely he's not going to do shit. I gotta go kill him because he's going to get us all killed, right?
She's kind of the real muscle behind the operation now. He's just kind of stands there and she kind of does everything for him, which is kind of funny. But I do like Fennec Shand as a character. I like
her. Ming-na Wen's great in it.
Yeah. Again, they don't give her a lot to do. Literally what Mike is describing of, I'll hammer home a point that needs to get dealt with. Oh, I'll sort of half disagree by saying something philosophical. You crazy man. And then she'll either kind of do it herself, or that scene will have just sort of
it'll somehow resolve itself naturally, like without any of their action. It's really weird.
He'll pay the mods to be part of his crew, and you'll just go like, "Oh, okay.
This is your crew? These guys?"
But that's kind of the what they're going for is like his decision to spare, Black Chrysanthemum, ends up with him deciding to fight for him. So he uses diplomacy to like build the army at the end. Whether or not that's what you wanted out of the Boba Fett show, that's another question.
We needed the sand. I'm not gonna. I need to stop using that term. Boba taught me the Tuscans, the rich culture.
Yes, that's true.
They should have been there. I wanted him to have the little kid after the battle, put him on the Rancor, and then the kid goes like a bantha, right?
Right.
But
that would have been great.
That'd been cute, but.
It'd been great.
There are some good moments though. That's because when you talked about Black Chrysanthemum, that reminded me we got to see an arm getting ripped off by a Wookiee.
Yes.
The Trandosians.
Maybe the best speech in the Book of Boba Fett, I would say. Her whole gambit of, I'll pay off your drinking tab if you don't do any violence, and him showcasing, no one can own me in such way. I'm a crazy Wookiee.
He's got those knuckle
Which
dusters.
Is interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you don't know, he is obviously a character that was introduced in a comic, a Star Wars comic. So I do like, of course, everyone loves Star Wars when random guys show up that they're like, oh, he was in that show or whatever.
Great.
We get a couple of those. We get Chrysanthemum. We get another one, which we'll talk about. But I like him as a juxtaposition to the other, Wookiee that we know really well, obviously Chewbacca, where we have Black Chrysanthemum, who's a bounty hunter and is a bad guy. And in that comic, he's like working for the Empire. He's working for Vader or something.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a mercenary for hire.
And he was like a gladiator at one point, because they mentioned the gladiator pits. Like he would just fight.
I guess so.
So it's cool to see. But then when he doesn't murder the mods instantly, I'm like, come on, dude, this guy would destroy them all.
In the comic he was introduced in, they kind of introduced these evil versions of characters that we know, and there's like an evil Indiana Jones who's like a female Indiana Jones.
Oh,
Yes.
that's the comic,
So-
right? The Dr. Aphra
Yeah,
comic?
so he was
Okay.
kind of introduced to be the evil Chewbacca, basically. It's sort of a gimmick, but now he's officially canon because he's in this
Jacob,
show.
so in Wookiee speak, on the Millennium Falcon, do you think a guy named Chewbacca goes, "Oh shit, there's Han, there's Black Chrysanthemum"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure he understands that because he's learned Wookiee in that prison. Yeah. I do like him as an addition. He's got a cool look. You know, he's got a scar.
He's a
According,
Wookiee. You
Yeah.
cannot be just this. Here's what I'll another positive for this show, Mike.
yeah,
Splitting up the Tatooine and districts where they say, one of them are like Trandoshians, which
The
I
other
think
one's the
maybe are the
Aqualesh.
lizard
Yes,
people.
correct.
The
Yeah.
the Aqualesh are sort of the
Aqualesh, which is
weird,
the weird tusk guys
Yeah.
that is in, obviously in New Hope, Obi-Wan cuts off his arm.
yep.
That's a Aqualesh.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. We have these,
We got a lot of aliens.
and it is like they're setting up like there's things like the quarters of Mos Espa, and like it's owned by different families, and they have a big sit down meeting, right? We just needed one with the werewolf
Right, but
family.
then it's like the most expected thing happens to everyone except Boba, who all three of these families turn on him because they're organized
Crimes.
families, which Boba did not see coming. He makes a treaty with all of them, and they all backstab him, and he acts very surprised.
He's so naive, it thinks, with the lifestyle he's lived, to be like, I'm just going
Right.
to be nice to everybody. It's like, dog, you worked for these people your whole
Yeah,
life.
they're gonna take advantage of you. That's what
That's what
bad
they
people
do.
when someone is naive.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
I just thought they could just be really nice. It'd work out
But I'm a double-crossing bounty hunter. I would have never expected this.
to be double crossed.
He's
yeah.
been in the crime, scene for 60 years or whatever. Like, you think you would know better.
I mean, he started with like the crime stuff when he was like a child, like a 10 or a 12-year-old child. Like he gets pulled up in the Clone Wars into this gang with Cad Bane. Like, and that's the
Yeah.
guy we haven't mentioned yet. Cad Bane shows up.
Cad Bane.
Stranger in the Desert, a very popular Clone Wars and Rebels character. He
Well-
basically taught Boba everything. And that,
Yeah.
that could have seen that in a flashback and had that character more established with little Boba, right?
Oh, 100%
Yeah.
because they hint at things, but if you haven't seen him in the Clone Wars, you're not going to get the full effect of it. And you mentioned earlier, that scene where they show all the bounty hunters in Star Wars. What a cool scene that is. Cad Bane is like a spiritual successor to those guys. So seeing an actual cool bounty hunter show up, one of the coolest characters that'll
It's
show
like a
up in
good, the
Clone
bad,
Wars
and the ugly
sometime.
inspired.
Yeah.
Yes, Clint Eastwood. He's got the hat. He's got the shawl.
Yeah.
And that's his thing. He shows up like he's in a Western because this show is like basically a Western, and
Yeah.
he's cool. But he was, like you said, he was prominent in the Clone Wars, which was a long time ago compared to the era that this show is set in. So
Mhm.
he's also an old man. I don't know how long his species
Because,
usually
he's
lives.
got to be at
but
least 30
yeah.
years older than Boba Fett, right?
He's an adult
yeah.
when Boba Fett is
60
still like a
versus
child. Yeah.
90.
Yeah, but in that species, maybe
Hey,
that's
yeah.
okay.
And I think even
Clint Eastwood's
Boba
still
says
doing
at
it.
one point like, "You're old too, mate."
hmm
That's
like,
true.
I'm still faster than you.
So now, was this exciting for you guys? So as we just said, we get an original comic book character being introduced in the universe. Now an original animated series. We got that with Asuka Tano last season with season 2,
we'll
where
get
I
to see
felt
her
like
again. Yep.
Twitter explodes. Our reaction was like, "Oh my god, it's Rosario Dawson!" And this is the same voice actor portraying this character, whose name I cannot remember, unfortunately. But were you guys as excited to see this? I know you just criticized saying
yeah.
it could have been fleshed out more, but
Yeah, I would have like if you're doing all these flashbacks, it would have been cool to see flashbacks with Cad Bane and a younger Boba Fett. That would have been awesome. But seeing him show up is definitely cool because every time he shows up in the Clone Wars, he's doing something super cool. Like he infiltrates the Empire at one point or the whatever it's called in that era. But
The Republic. Yeah.
yeah, he's just a cool bounty hunter who does cool things a lot. And if you've seen the Clone Wars, like obviously seeing Ahsoka Tano, big character in the Clone Wars, like it's just cool to see those tie-ins to make it feel like a cohesive universe, even though they're different mediums with animation versus live action. I think they've really translated those characters to live action pretty well.
Yeah, and it's hard to do like Cad Bane, this blue alien guy with big red eyes who's a cowboy and he has weird fingers, right? But the way they
Yeah.
introduce him, it's like I was really, really excited. Like it was like a
Oh, yeah.
fanboy moment. I'm like, oh, dude, it's Cad Bane. I know
You
everything
thought he
about
looked
this guy.
good too?
I think he looks
With the-
good.
Is it makeup or is it CGI? Do we have any idea?
I think it's a
I don't know, it's like a
prosthetic, and they
puppet.
CG the
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah,
Mm.
and they have
Yeah,
fake
the way
teeth.
they introduce him is the coolest thing because it is just a Western. Shows up high noon. We got Cobb Vanth, the sheriff there. So
Our favorite character, handsome cowboy actor.
handsome
Mhm,
cowboy
Timothy
man.
Oliphant.
Yeah.
Turn as
Deadwood.
Cobb Van.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then the deputy, and I shot the sheriff, but you didn't shoot the deputy, right? Padme meme, and it's just Cad Bane, right? He's like, yeah, I definitely shot him.
Yeah,
but
he shoots Cobb Vanth once in the shoulder, and then he shoots the deputy like 6 times, and it's like, oh, that guy's definitely dead.
And his gun sounds
But-
really cool. The noise,
And
yeah, keyed in on
Let's
that.
do spoilers at the end, though, and an entire part we didn't even talk about yet, modifications and what that means. But
Yeah.
Jacob, he got shot in the shoulder, and he needs the back to tank and whatever crazy stuff Thundercat's gonna do to him.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have robot Oliphant.
He's gonna get a
Robo
prosthetic
Cobb.
shoulder. Yeah.
It's everything you've ever wanted.
Beep, boop. Hey, Mando, how are you?
He's got a
You'd be like,
Gatling
"Oh,
gun on an
no."
arm.
Yeah.
But there was no way he was gonna die when you saw him kind of get shot off camera once. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
well, he's
And
yeah,
they
he's
yell,
not
get him a
gonna die.
med pack. But yeah, but the other question is, because it will be intriguing to see what the heck happens with that. But we get the showdown with Mando and Cad Bane, and Mando wins obviously and hits him with the gaffy stick. And now the question is, he was only in 2 episodes, right? But it's like, is he really dead? 1 and 2, should
Yeah.
he be?
Right.
Because a lot of people are saying, oh, there's a heart monitor, and he has modifications too. But they're like, oh, he like
What?
moved his heart into his leg or something, so like he can't get
Well,
shot
it's
in the heart.
interesting
Yeah,
Yeah, they
Smart.
bring him in just
Oh.
to kill him in the show.
yeah.
But I mean, this is set late in his life, like we said. So there could be shows set in an earlier time period where he could still show up again.
Yeah, like
such
he's
as Obi-Wan
fought
or
with
something
Obi-Wan
else.
Kenobi in the past. He's crossed paths
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
Um,
Will the Ahsoka Tano show have flashbacks? Or let me even ask you guys this.
Conceivably, yeah.
Freetown is Mos Pelligo. This
Mm-hmm.
is Mos Espa. Are we not setting things in Mos Eisley because that's just entirely where the Obi-Wan show will be set and they just don't want to blow the load there?
That's what I'm thinking. The old cantina,
I think- Yeah, I mean, they reference Mos Eisley sometimes, but it's like they want a different city to kind of have tell these original stories in. But I think Obi-Wan, they've said that it's not all going to be on Tatooine. Like he's going to go other
Hayden
places.
Christensen's
I was gonna
back.
say,
There's
could
going to be
Cad Bane be there?
flashbacks.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's Hayden
interesting.
Christensen's going to be in it. So I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of Clone Wars references because that's during the same time period, and Obi-Wan's a big character in the Clone Wars show throughout it. So
Yeah, and I'm just looking
probably
forward
gonna
to.
get Darth Maul. Like that'll be interesting.
Yeah, Darth Maul takes over the crime syndicates at one point.
I don't want to know this stuff, guys.
You don't, because it's
I-
going to be a surprise when you see it. But back
No,
to it's awesome. It's really awesome. Trust me, Dave Filoni's the king.
Darth Maul
yeah.
is a way better character in Clone Wars than he ever was in the movies.
I
Yeah.
don't ever want to see him again.
You don't want to see him with spider legs?
No.
He gets Spider Legs. He's got a brother that's like a green Darth Maul.
Whose name is
No.
Savage.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, back to Cad Bane. I want to talk about his other modification real quick because he has those tubes in his neck. This is just a fun fact. This is my Cad Bane fun fact of the week. The tubes are not so he can like breathe in our atmosphere or anything. It's a modification that will stop him from being able to be force choked. So it's so he can go toe to toe against Jedis with his guns.
Can't get crushed. He still keeps breathing.
Yep.
Because basically they set him up in Clone Wars as like he's one of the best like bounty hunters in the world. Like he never like fails. Like he's always got he's as good as Boba was in his prime.
And there's a
basically. He taught
deleted,
Boba everything he knew.
Yeah, there was a deleted scene from Clone Wars. It never made air, so it's not canon, but it's well referenced that he is the one who shoots Boba's head and gives the helmet the dent. It's like that's something we could have seen. And also, right in front
There's
of
a
Boba,
lot of history between those characters that they don't
like
show.
he literally murders someone in his own crew in front of Boba, and it's like, yeah, double crossing kind of happens in this line of work. Like the naivety of Boba
Right.
in this is unbelievable. But
And obviously
I
he
did
knew
like
his
Cad.
dad Django as well because Django was a bounty hunter.
Right, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So just real quick pitch. Is this what Solo 2 would have been? Would we have seen a crew of scoundrels / bounty hunters getting assembled, a young Boba Fett working with a young Han, Cad Bane could have come in like the Woody Harrelson character and been like, hey, you guys are crazy, come on, or whatever. Will we get that?
I mean, that type of content, they can explore that in a lot of the shows, because look at Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? He has plenty of ties with Cad Bane, plenty of ties with Darth Maul, plenty of, there's a lot of stuff from that Clone Wars era that they could flash back to.
You just want TV, Mike. We're never going to get a Star Wars movie ever again. This is just where we are now, guys.
I don't think we're ever going to get Solo 2 because of the response to that movie, which looking back, I don't think it's that bad. I wouldn't mind a Solo 2, but
yeah, we've all seen Rise of Skywalker.
Probably not going to happen. Yeah.
The grading scale has changed. And I think that's why Disney's like, I think they got cold feet on movies right now. They're like, let's just do the TV thing. It's working, more or less. So,
but now people are turning against them because of this show. So who knows?
I think the Rogue Squadron with Patty that got canceled. Maybe Taika Waititi maybe has a movie. Rian Johnson has that trilogy that's definitely gone.
Yeah, that's out.
No, that's actually they still like officially.
Dog.
That's still a thing. Rian Johnson trilogy, but we have the Obi-Wan show. We'll see how that goes. We have the Cassian Andor show. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, that's a good place for Cad Bane or somebody, maybe, right? When does that take place? Hold on. When does this show we're watching
This is all happening post Return of the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Post Return of the Jedi, about 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
This is
now probably like
season 1 of Mandalorian was 5 years.
Kenobi's taking place after Revenge of the Sith, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Cassian Andor's before New Hope. Oh, yes, I guess that is true because that's
what
it would
be before New Hope. It would be before Rogue One, obviously.
Wow.
But
that's interesting.
Yeah,
so
but
Cassian,
I think Obi-Wan is interesting too because we've seen a lot of what he does in between the prequels and A New Hope. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that all ties together.
Yeah, and again, they can do a lot of callbacks. Like the episode everyone loved, was directed by Dave Filoni, and that's the one that had Ahsoka come back and Mando come back, and all these characters that kind of, from the extended universe. But think about this: like Dave Filoni, in my eyes, he should be running Lucasfilm. Like all the great work he's done. I'm rewatching Rebels. It's absolutely incredible. The animation, I don't love it, but it's great. And if you like Rebels, you should watch Clone Wars and Darth Maul. You don't like the old master? Come on, dude. But
I like Rebels. I like Clone Wars. I think this creative brain trust is Favreau and Filoni generally, and then they have like Robert Rodriguez and Bryce Dallas Howard, like you said, who come in and direct.
Filoni needs to be the 1A, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
maybe.
I think imagine being him though, just for that one episode. He's getting to direct a scene with Luke Skywalker. Like he's probably dreamed of that his whole life, and it looked a lot better this time. So I have a lot of respect for Dave Filoni and his characters, like Ahsoka, who's one of the most important ever, now looking at the scope of Star Wars with all of that side stuff included.
So interesting, because you brought him up, Mike, let's jump in and dive in and talk about that aspect of it all. We were talking about where do you go with these other films? We were even talking about Solo 2s, things like that, where of course Solo has a new actor playing a younger version of our established character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here we are once again, post-Mando Season 2 finale, which triumphantly saw the return of a character a lot of people were not happy to see the end of in a film named Luke Skywalker. And this is Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. Now, here we are in Boba Fett being presented with, once again, not a different iteration, I would argue, but just really stamping on the timeline going like, and here's where he is. Grogu could potentially be his first student on the jungle planet where he will one day erect a temple, a school for the Jedi, which will be crumbled by his greatest student, his nephew, Ben Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, the name... Jacob, you know what I just put together? His last name, some asshole just gave his dad that name, and he fucking kept it. He didn't go by Organa, a royal family name. He didn't go by Skywalker, a treasured... It's ridiculous.
Han Skywalker.
Ridiculous.
I would have taken her name for sure, yeah.
Yes!
Right.
Especially with that explanation of how he got it. Anyway.
All that set up to say, so, Mike, you said looked pretty good. Jacob. Now, all that to say, we got that different actor. We do not have a different actor for this. We have a different human being inhabiting the space where this actor or character is projected onto their body, and they seem very proud to let us know that they cast someone for that. But what do you think of the digital ghost of Luke Skywalker?
Oh, I mean, for me, I hate it, but different. Some people like it, some people don't. I just hate it. Like, stop doing it. I would just prefer they just cast a new actor. Like, I really don't like
doing it.
Yeah,
no, just here's my thing.
If it looks better, just stop doing it.
It doesn't. No matter how it's going to look, you're never going to have the confidence because your editing is, well, he'll just give an entire monologue off screen, and then we'll just cut to his face for 2 seconds, and then cut to Grogu. That implies a conversation, of course.
Yeah, a lot of side, back of the head, off-screen dialogue. Yeah.
And it's like, are they just going to do that forever? Like, they just need to recast it.
So here's where I'm at. I believe it is morally, like, damnable to do this.
Yes.
I really believe that it is. Hologram Tupac, this Luke, it's morally
Carrie
bad.
Fisher is dead. She is gone. It's unfortunate. It breaks my heart.
Yeah, and as much as I love the technology,
dead, that's the thing. Mark Hamill is very much alive.
This is a crack in the door.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
Well, the whole thing is that they didn't even use, like, they could have had him do the voice acting and put it onto the digital thing. Instead, they have an AI generated voice using his past recorded
voice sounds so even the voice
he's a
is
famous
fake.
voice actor. Like, he's known for voice acting now. That's what he's known for. You could just pay him to do it.
Chills.
Yeah, so I see this, as much as I love some of the technology of the show, like the volume, I think that's an amazing way to blend, like, old school matte painting technology with, like, modern day green screen. You could just project it in, like, 4K or whatever. It looks real and the actors can react. That I love. But digitally replacing human beings doing AI voices, especially when they're dead. Like, now you can have a million years of Carrie Fisher, Han Solo, and Luke Skywalker. They're finally on screen together, but they're CG ghosts. That is a horrible thing to do.
Dead.
And then Disney, Disney wants to own likenesses. And they will. Of course. And this is a very slippery slope, and it has me concerned seeing this more. Like, get Sebastian Stan. He wants to do it. He looks good. He's right there at Marvel. So I am way against it. I'm with Jacob, and probably more for moral grounds for me. I think it's
just the fact that some fans prefer this to, I think, Mark Hamill's greatest performance, Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi,
the Sacred
is
Jedi
his greatest acting role. A lot of people say that's like they hate that version of Luke, but I think this is way worse. Like,
he acts the hell out of it, whether you like the material or not. He does a good job.
Well, so the reaction people have to that of, I can't believe this person I envisioned as a Jedi Master would end up as this hermit, repeating the cycle of isolation and failure that every other Jedi Master has.
Yoda, Obi-Wan,
I understand having that reaction, because my reaction to this digital ghost saying to my best friend, little Grogu, my little goblin best friend, you can't, hey, buddy, wake up. No loving anyone. The last time anyone saw me in a movie, I was cradling my dead father, telling him I'm a Jedi like my father before me. He would not include that last part if attachments still didn't matter. The fact that he has learned nothing, plans to erect a school. Let me ask you guys this. In his mind, is he looking at the records of what the Jedis did? Do you guys remember? Think about what the Jedis do. Think about what Episode 1 the Jedis do. They are sent for diplomacy purposes. Is he teaching Grogu to do what the Jedi used to do? He will send Grogu on missions to, like, protect royalty on, like, other planets?
Trade routes.
What are you talking about, you fool? You know that the Jedi can't be these things. You are a cult leader. You are a maniac.
Well, that's the thing.
He tries to kill his nephew. He is a maniac. You're right.
And Mike, to that point, if he truly believes this thing about the no attachments, when Kylo Ren turns that lightsaber on and kills Han Solo, he should be fine with that.
Yeah, because
I think that
he's one with the Force now.
Yes, this is Yoda an earlier version. So Luke in this is probably very different than Luke as an
Still
old man.
idealistic.
Yeah,
Still
he hasn't.
believes in the ways of the Jedi, which
Every
is
Jedi
crazy.
has been wrong. Like no Jedi has ever
Yes!
learned the lesson of like,
No!
oh, maybe we're doing things the wrong way.
The only one that ever
Like,
did
failed.
was
Obi-Wan
Ahsoka
failed.
Tano. It's the only
Yes.
person
Yes.
that ever did.
Yes,
Eh,
and
but
the
even
little
if-
goblin ghost after he died.
But
Yeah.
then she's even there on the planet saying like, oh, if you want what's best for Grogu, you should
Yes,
see him. It's
even
like,
her. My reaction to
Yeah.
her in that moment, Jacob, too, I was like, this is disgusting. And even you saying like that you would have taken him on a teacher if his heart, wasn't in it in this other way. You are someone who uses the Force to your own advantage and goes around. She was doing missions. She was attacking that city, which was ruled by a foreign government.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
She was in the right there, but again, is she doing the mission of the Jedi? What is that?
She's just doing whatever she wants. She is not a Jedi.
Yeah, she's a
She
great
left
Jedi.
the Jedi. She's not a Jedi, period. She doesn't associate
Right.
with
She's
that
acting
title.
like one. She's using their abilities.
She's a rogue agent.
almost took
Yeah.
on a kid.
She's a
I'm
Force.
sure she's talking to Luke about how to run this fucking asshole school of his.
Well, that's
the
what I
thing
want
is
to talk
Luke-
about. Yeah.
Yeah, Luke giving Grogu that decision goes against his whole arc in the original series, which was rejecting the old ways of the Jedi. Yoda telling him
In
not to
Return
go
of
and try
the
to save his
Jedi!
father. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't go save your
so-
friends. He's like, I'm
Right.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
have
he was
to.
that was the whole point, is that he was right and the old masters were wrong about that.
Yes.
And it's like he didn't take that lesson in, and now he's repeating the same mistakes that Yoda made.
Why?
So.
Yeah. And
Why
if I
would
can
you ask him that?
Right, and the thing too is, there has to be conversations with Ahsoka being like, so your dad trained me, and this is what caused him to fall, was like the same kind of bullshit that the old Jedi were teaching him. He was
So
not
good
allowed
luck.
to be
Here's
attached.
the books.
Yeah.
Follow him to the T.
And I left the
Yeah.
Jedi Order because they accused me of murdering a senator, and when I was found innocent, they invited me back, and I was like, no, screw you guys. Y'all turned on me.
Yeah.
So maybe
Amazing.
reassess your... like, that conversation has to have happened between them, and he's still like, choose one or the other.
I don't know.
Baffling.
I don't know, Mike.
Yeah. But
Unless
she's-
unless giving Grogu that choice was a test in itself, where Grogu, the right answer to the test would be to reject the choice and do both or something.
Oh,
I don't
shit.
know.
Well, it's like, you can't have armor and a
It's just a
sword.
little baby. How's he supposed to know that?
Yeah, Grogu was literally. Here's what we learned
He's
in
a
that
50-year-old
episode.
baby, but yeah.
He can't walk very well. He learned to jump and hop around. That's going to be very helpful for season 3 of
Yes.
Mando, because he leapt right at him the second he
Which is
saw
cute,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he just still gets so tired, and he doesn't remember where he came from or what's going on in his life.
Yeah, is he going to be jumping around and flipping around with a lightsaber like Yoda did in
Heck
the
yeah.
They
prequels?
almost his decision. So here's okay, guys. Here's why I now hate the Book of Boba Fett show.
Okay.
At what point, when his little master passed away, did this asshole then just get up after that asshole little goblin disappears and the blanket falls? Go, wow. Okay, so where was his lightsaber? And just start like rooting around through his things and dig it up. Did he later commune with him when he got Grogu in his hands? Did they go to Dagobah together to be like, hey, this is where this asshole Yoda used to live? Any of this look familiar to you? Like, is this like, does this like feel like normal? Like, should you be living in a swamp? By the way, if there's a lightsaber here, feel free to just have it.
He's gonna first words will be Yaddle, and they're gonna go find his mom living in a trailer with Jets
Yaddle.
for Dexter all
God.
strung out or
Oh my
something.
Bring Yaddle back. Yeah.
Where is Seattle? I don't think that's the case. But yeah,
Well,
like
with
Dagobah's not the
lightsabers-
home planet, so it's like,
Yeah, that's just
No!
where Yoda goes to become
Hide
a
out.
hermit.
Isolation.
Yeah. But, passing on lightsabers, that's something Jedi always do. Like, why does that one weird alien, Maz Katana, why does she have Luke's
Oh, yeah, Maz
lightsaber?
Kanata has it.
I never want to answer that question or think about that ever again. And the fact that you even just said the words Maz Kanata to me means we might have to kick you off
Force
this
Awakens,
episode.
I think she says like, "Oh, that's a story for another time." How I got that.
Mhm.
We'll never hear that story.
Doesn't
but-
matter.
Never say never. There's a lot of money to be made in these
Yeah,
shows, and
Maz
we'll keep
Kanata
making them.
show coming 2025.
Oh man, it's about when she dated Chewbacca.
Was that on Jakku?
No,
No, that's
was
just
on that-
Maz's planet, whatever.
that
It
that
has a
Rebel
name,
planet
but
that they
no one,
go to,
no one
yeah.
fucking cares.
Sure, okay. I was
If
gonna
it's not
say, maybe
Tatooine, we don't
Obi-Wan
care.
will find it. Do you think Obi-Wan will meet Maz Kanata?
I hope not.
Anything could happen.
Because he has to get the. I don't know. No.
You think she almost taught at Luke's school? He went around like trying to recruit a couple teachers, and also, so let me ask you this real quick.
Protection against the dark arts.
He gets this thing off the ground. He goes, "Okay, guys, it's Grogu. Grogu's my student. We'll get a couple more as we go. I'm, of course, the Jedi Council. There used to be like 20 guys in a circle. It's just me. When Grogu, I'm gonna die here pretty soon. I'm not gonna be able to live as long as Grogu can.
Right.
When Grogu turns like 520, then he's the master, and you guys gotta all listen to Grogu. What on earth is his plan?
Right.
It's true.
I don't know.
There's no one after him. When is Grogu able to pass what he learned? Because Luke will just naturally die in 50 years or so.
Grogu, I don't think Grogu will ever learn how to talk. I think there's something wrong with Grogu.
Well, there's Order 66. He got some brain damage, maybe.
Yes.
I think what would be funny is if once Grogu eventually does talk, he just talks normally. He doesn't talk how Yoda talks. And then they're like, oh, Yoda just had a speech impediment that made him
it's
talk
a weird
like
affect. It's just his thing.
What does the ghost Luke say? I had a master like you. Does he say he had a funny way of speaking? Does he say
or do not? There's a try. Yeah, he
and then he
talked like
repeats
that.
it. He says he talked in riddles or something. He says. Do you think that was him suddenly being like, "And will you?"
Yeah, maybe. That's how they handled. Anytime Daniel has to quote Miyagi, they had to be like, right. That's how he said it. They had to be really careful. But yeah,
and I'm not doing an impression. That's just what it sounded
We're
like.
quoting.
I think Grogu, the way he ages, they could cut to after the sequel trilogy. He could be an adult.
That's
Yoda,
the next trilogy for Rian Johnson.
Yeah, the Grogu trilogy.
Yeah.
Grogilogy.
And what are you saying, Jacob? He's a little bit bigger.
He's going to be the main character. He's going to be a Yoda guy that goes around and does stuff.
Hey,
Grogu
knows? I am. Mandalorian I was.
He's going to have the dark saber.
Like an adolescent. He'll be
he's
like
the head of
teenager
Mandalore
Yoda.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's going to grow
Did you
up.
guys think it was going to be a little bit of chainmail, or did you think it was going to be a little helmet?
I wanted a helmet, but I guess...
I thought it was going to be a little helmet.
And say I reject the choice and I'll do both, and I'm going to maintain my attachments to my father figure Din Djarin, but I'm also going to be, I also want to be trained to be a Jedi.
Because the guy who made the Darksaber was the first Mandalorian/Jedi. He could be the second. What's the game where they're like, you trying to do some damage or protect yourself? That's basically the choice that he's given when you character
basically.
create.
Right, defense or offense.
Yeah.
I thought about that a lot while watching this, Mike. Let's talk about some other elements. Just because we're still on Mando, let's set up where their adventure is heading. He got his sweet baby back. Grogu did make the choice. They're together in the little co-pilot
The new
seat.
NX-1 prequel ship. Yeah.
What do you guys think about the Naboo fighter coming in? And so the future for them is they're just flying to Mandalore to he's a religious fanatic because his god mom
he has to go in the water.
That's what you kind of learn. So in the Clone Wars, it's interesting. You see a lot of Mandalore stuff in the Clone Wars. And most Mandalorians are just normal people. They don't wear helmets all the time. That's like a very specific extremist cult in the Clone Wars. So you kind of gradually learn that Din Djarin is in this extremist cult. Yeah. And they don't recognize the actual ruler of Mandalore. And there's they try to assassinate her. Obi-Wan has to protect the Queen of Mandalore at one point from these extremists. And that's the way Din Djarin was raised. So I think he's got to reconcile that. We saw with
Bo-Katan.
What's her name? Bo-Katan coming in. Yeah,
this guy's a little extreme.
Yeah, normal Mandalorians, we don't do that. We take off.
We got some of her motivation, Jacob. We know that Bo-Katan received the Darksaber through the lady from
Seven
Rebels,
Ren,
Mike.
Yep.
That Mandalorian,
Just given over.
Believes there's no honor in that. It must be won through combat. We saw the other Vizsla, whatever that guy's name was.
This is Paz Vizsla, descendant of Pre-Vizsla, who was head of the Night Watch.
Man, Mike was saying.
And Darth Maul murders him and becomes the leader of Mandalore and holds the Darksaber.
Oh!
Yeah.
So there's some interest, and the Queen of Mandalore, Obi-Wan may have had a relationship with, and he murders her in front of him. So there's some crazy shit that we could see in Obi-Wan that ties in the Mandalorian lore, where the Darksaber come from. It could all tie together, and it's crazy how much of the modern Star Wars story with the Mandalorian and Boba Fett ties
will be
into Mandalore during the
War.
Clone Wars. Yeah.
Yeah.
It all
gonna be
comes
relying
back
on
to
a lot
there.
of
The
that.
crime syndicates. Yep.
Yeah, and I think the Mandalore stuff in this season was a little bit rushed because he comes back, he's training with the Darksaber, and then all of a sudden, like, he gets accused of taking his helmet off, and they turn on him immediately. Then he has to fight Paz Vizsla. That all kind of felt rushed a little bit because, like, that should have been maybe more stretched out within a season of The Mandalorian. I feel like as much as I like the Mandalorian stuff in these episodes, it did feel like they were trying to pack in a lot of, like, oh, this is what he's doing now. Then he goes here, and he gets his new ship. Then he,
We got a
goes
billion
to see Grogu.
answers.
It's a lot happening. Yeah.
And he starts out on that really cool, like, Halo planet. Like, just to show how boring Tatooine has kind of become, you see another planet, which is like that ring planet where all the buildings are on the inside of the ring. I was like, oh, they got a fucking Halo.
It's like a colony,
Tatooine is a bus stop for that planet. He takes public transportation, gets off, and they're like, and of course, here's Tatooine. And he's like,
Yeah, you don't want to.
Right.
Don't stop here. Get off at the next one.
But regarding his new ship, I think it's really cool. It's something from the prequels, refurbished kind of. It's an antique to them, I guess.
Yeah, but it's not
interesting though that
registered.
they go from
pre-Empire.
but he goes from a spacious kind of minivan in space to a sports car,
a Miata now.
Yeah, he lived in an RV. Now he lives in a
Miata,
Jaguar. Yeah. But Jacob, now again, this motherfucker, Amy Sedaris comes in and goes, "Hey, what's up? This was handcrafted for the Naboo, bodyguards from the Princess of Naboo." Setting up, reminding us as an audience, this motherfucker takes this ship, lands it on the planet next to Luke Skywalker, who should, I guess, at this point, I have no idea what his level of knowledge is, go, "Hey, actually my mom was the one who, commissioned those, and I'm actually half from Naboo."
Yeah, that could have been this very one that Anakin drives in Phantom Menace when he's
it could be
a barrel. That's a neat trick.
Could have been. It could have fucking been.
Qui-Gon told me to stay in this cockpit, and that's what I'm going to do.
R2.
The exact same model.
But I do like that tie into the prequels, like kind of bringing them into the family. Like, you're okay too. And I learned that the pipe like that he needs, that like radiator, whatever it is, the spaceship part that's like a pipe. That's the same kind of pipe that Luke Skywalker and them use to protect themselves in the trash compactor.
Get out!
And
really?
so now we know what that was. It's pretty wild, right?
I really needed to know that.
Get the fuck up.
Well, that's my other fun fact. But I do want to mention another prequel tie-in because this feels like we're getting, the original and some more prequel love, and now we're like the Mandalorian's kind of like the new shit. So you get all of this in the finale with like the Scorpionic droids, which are bigger droidicas, and they were like concept art for the prequels that were just never put in. So like kind of refurbishing that. They've been refurbishing Ralph McQuarrie drawings. So they're kind of pulling all this stuff together. So I do appreciate that it's like Cad Bane, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Scorpionics, Rancor. Like
it's a lot of Clone Wars stuff, a lot of prequel stuff.
Yeah, like it's all
and
living.
Speaking of droids,
comics, you're right.
Yeah.
When you see the collection of droids that is like Amy Sedaris' gang of droids, you have pit droids from the prequels, and then you have droids from the originals, like the Gonk droid or whatever.
Like that is the R5 with a bad motivator. That's the one that the Jawas.
Oh, but Jacob, the BD from that video game you guys played too.
You get BD
the Fallout
from Jedi Fallen Order. Maybe the same BD unit, maybe a different unit.
Yeah, again, who knows? Maybe, yeah.
But
doesn't matter.
Seeing those prequels pit droids with the original series droids really makes it all feel like the same universe to me in an interesting way.
Yeah, it's cool to it feels like Star Wars kind of is gaining a cohesion now with all the different eras, and that's Filoni and Favreau's, I think, their strength. So
you see a lot of this tech from the prequels that's now basically an antique, and it's kind of old and dirty and stuff. That's interesting.
I would say mirrored so perfectly in that one shot of the Naboo space fighter on that first flight out in space. 2 X-Wings pull up next to it.
Yep.
You've got, what you used to know about Star Wars, what you can't even believe they brought back from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's in the setting of new Star Wars. And you're like, wow, I am being pandered to. Okay.
Yeah. There's enough good there, but there's just a couple things they missed. Like, to bring it all the way back to the beginning pitch with the Tuscans and stuff should have been in the finale. Like, I see a world where the Jawas with that crate dragon crawler are part of the squad. On top of it, tons of Tuscans, Cobb Vanth, Boba Fett. The Rancor's in the front of it, and they pull it up to the city to siege it, drop the gate, and the Rancor rushes. Like, that's a scene. That's sick.
Yeah.
And they come out of the desert in a straight line. How many are there? We can't really tell, Boom, numbers, right?
Right. No, we need to focus on the mods.
Mike,
mods.
even that detail, I can't believe it. That's amazing.
That was my original one. A lot of this stuff that I said, I discussed again with Adam. Credit has to go to him for being the motivating force. He's the one who cracked the code, and then we just idioted. But yeah, just have them coming in a single file line. They're really far away. The desert heat, God.
Right.
The sand people travel in single file to hide their numbers.
Yeah, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
that would have been incredible. And then the
been a
Rancor, it's
great
like a
callback.
siege weapon. You get to see a battle crawler with Jawas. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Utini.
There's a lot of stuff they could have done, but
But we got what we got, I guess. So maybe
Yeah.
now is as good a time as ever to go and jump over to final thoughts in the Book of Boba Fett. Let's close this chapter right after this. Man, I want the battle crawl. I want my version. I want my version.
Yeah, me too.
inspired you to make it.
I would love to see the fucking sand crawler get used.
With the crate dragon skull on it. Like it's all poetry. Anyway.
We did learn that Amy Sedaris dated a Jawa at one point.
And they're
Which
very
Earlier than
furry.
you'd think.
humans were allowed to date them. I'm against that.
I mean,
Because it-
if they're biologically compatible, there's no like crazy mutant babies.
Here's the thing. The best part about this show, and we're back, we're talking our final thoughts here on Book of Boba Fett, is that it has got me rewatching some Mando stuff. And did you remember that Amy Sedaris not only introduced us to the frogs, two characters I absolutely love, but Dr. Mandibles, the giant ant who just hangs
He
out
was
at
one
the
of my
bars
favorite characters.
because
That's
the
right.
one she also dated in her past. Easily, Peli Otto is her character. Peli Moto. She is 100% my new favorite Star Wars character.
yeah.
She is amazing. She shows up and she's like, "Hey, look, everybody, it's Mando." She's basically just speaking for the audience, saying, "Here's Mando. This is what you want."
Like, you got to
Your name's
cheer. You should
Grogu?
cheer.
That's a dumb name.
Yeah.
Hooray, let's go.
Yeah.
You're so right, Jacob.
They're building a spaceship
great.
together, yeah. But she lost a tooth. That was the most violent thing that happened, really. Like, we really consider what happened in the
Took a
fight.
fall.
Yeah.
I like that her gun in the fight scene is that like blunderbuss looking thing.
Yeah. she's like hill folk. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I like the
Tatooine's a
mechanic
backwater.
character. It's different than a lot of characters that we see in Star Wars. So I'm glad she's in it.
The Western trope, she would be making moonshine, but she'd be like a survivalist that like Mando would like, encounter in the woods and help like shoe his horse or something, right? You get these influences. And this is what I want to ask, right? Do they, just even beyond the Tatooine setting, not just because of the quote-unquote desert wall, but do they keep going forward with this Westernization that they're applying to Star Wars, which I'll remind you guys started out as parodies of, sci-fi serials from like the 70s and 60s, basically.
I was thinking about that, actually. And the kind of nature of the Star Wars show is it's become the inspiration. Now we just have these sci-fi serials that basically inspire the original Star Wars. So that's kind of cool. Return to form almost, but they are pretty heavily Western influenced. I imagine Ahsoka might go the other direction. Her episode was literally Yojimbo. There was shots stolen.
Rashomon. That's exactly what I
so
was
we'll
gonna
get
say,
more
Mike.
to the Kurosawa, let's say, of Star Wars in her show.
I think so.
And maybe Obi-Wan too a little bit.
I think Tatooine has basically become planet Western.
It's Westworld, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The Tuscans are like the Native Americans. You have the settlement towns.
There was literally a train
Cobb Vanth,
heist.
the sheriff. Yeah, there's a train
I'm
heist.
marshal around these parts, and
Outlaws.
there's a train going through the great desert.
Yeah, right.
Well,
So if-
okay.
That's Apache
have-
country. It's like, okay.
Yep,
I would
sure.
I would like things, why not have a show set on Coruscant that's like a cyberpunk type of show? You could
Where the
have-
mods can live.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I
we
don't
don't need
mind the
them.
mods as much as a lot of people actually, because do they fit the aesthetic of Tatooine? Maybe not, but I feel like their whole point is like they're trying to stand out from the normal people of Tatooine by wearing like flashy clothes and having these
They're
mod
greasers.
scooters. Yeah. Which is, goes back to, the American graffiti of it all. George Lucas very inspired by, 50s type stuff like that. So that works for me. And obviously they're based on the mod. There's a group of,
In England,
youths
right?
in Britain called the mods who would drive around on these crazy looking scooters and stuff. So
kind of evokes the Bokusoku culture of Japan. They had the crazy biker gang. But anyway, Bosuzoku anyway.
So
Apologies
that
for my
didn't bother
pronunciation.
me. That didn't bother me as much as a lot of people. I think those characters, not my favorite, but they didn't totally ruin Star Wars for me. But overall, I would like to see different settings other than Tatooine. We've seen Tatooine a lot. We've seen sand. We've seen a lot of spice production on sand planets. We've seen that.
And we've done a couple episodes on stuff about that recently, so I am done with that topic. But I think this is a perfect thing to set up my final thoughts here, and then I'll let you guys get yours going. Here's my issue, and I think it goes back to the fact of what we were saying of having this same guy in charge of the only 2 at-bats of Star Wars TV shows makes us all feel like, oh, is this what Star Wars TV shows are like? No, they are going to be different because there's going to be a plethora of stories coming out. But to that question I asked earlier of, when you have the exact same talent trying to recreate what made them popular and what like essentially gave him a blank check to keep doing more of this stuff, why doesn't the second iteration work? I always think of that story that people tell when they're in a band of, when you're in a band, when you're the fucking Rolling Stones, before you're discovered, you spend 16 years playing gigs, figuring out what that first album's gonna be. Right. And then Mandalorian hits, and it's a fucking hit, and somebody says, oh my God. And 6 months later they say, well, do you have an idea 6 months from now from album 2? Because you kind of have to get going immediately. Right. And you don't have that gestation period. You put all that time into that original to just let it marinate and get so perfect, fill it up with every idea you thought you had. And now somebody comes to you and says, well, in season 2, for that one episode where Boba Fett was kind of in it, couldn't that be your second album? And you're like, yeah, like, is that what people want to hear? And they go, well, we think that's what they want to hear. And you go, okay, give me some time. I think I can put this together here. And it doesn't stand a chance of being as good as that first thing because, again, it just the weight of intention and thought and power behind it is just never going to match up. The way we used to describe Mando was literally, remember when he would have some things that were just toys that he would CG in as like vehicles and stuff, and people would say, this is a guy playing with his toys. Now he's going, well, I played with my toys. Well, what toys do you still have in the store? Oh, you've got kind of the characters I didn't really want to use the first time. Well, okay, but yeah, it is interesting to get a new toy. Okay, well, I've got this cool Boba Fett now, and he can go on adventures. Boba, let's go on adventures. And you're like, no, man, it's just like it's never going to be as good.
Well, Colin, to go off your band analogy a little bit, remember that show, True Detective season 1?
Boom.
Huge hit. Everybody fucking loved it. They're like, I can't wait to see what season 2 is going to be about. And then a lot of people are super disappointed because they used all their best ideas in season 1. Right. I think that happens a lot of times when you have a surprise hit and then you're trying to replicate that success.
And a producer's saying, Jacob, hey, and we got to get the next one out quick because, while people are still watching this, we've already sold the fucking advertising space. And you're like, oh, hold on, what?
Yeah. So it's like you have all that time to come up with your first idea, and now you're like, you need to come up with the sophomore album. You're exactly right. I think that happens a lot.
Can I follow up on the band metaphor? This is all making sense here because it's like you make the first album for art's sake, and then not only do you have to make it and you're trying to force it, the record label's like, hey, can we get a love song on the album? Hey, can we get so there's these capitulations they have to make to the label.
It'd be great if we had another one like Mando. That Mando song was so good. If we could just have a couple Grogu songs.
You remember that Tatooine you did on the first album? People really liked that.
Oh, baby, it was good.
Classic. So I think that's happening. And also the other time, let's say, look at Star Wars history when maybe one guy who has arguably really great creative vision, was in complete control with no one to say no. You were wondering, how did Jon Favreau get the rights to say he's the sole writer? Well, this is what happens when no one tells Jon Favreau no. potentially. So just like George Lucas. So maybe on that second album,
prequels,
you hire
yeah.
Irving Kershner to direct instead. You know, like that's the way to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
And I hope Filoni maybe gets a crack at the Ahsoka show because he created that character, and I think he can bring a lot of positiveness to that. That's what I would like to see. Again, I think this is an exercise in, sophomore album. Corporations got to corporate. You know, hey, we need to tease Ahsoka. Remember, remind people about Grogu, Mando season 3, and also do Boba Fett all at once. It's like that's a big ask too.
And like for some reason, I've decided I'm gonna be the one who answers that question. That again, daydreaming Colin at the bus stop at 10 years old, who would go, you know, some guy told me that Sarlacc's digesting for 3,000 years, but I heard there's a Star Wars book where Boba Fett gets out. I wonder how that would happen or what that would look like. And he's the guy. And he's the one who goes, and I should also be in charge of answering that question a billion kids across the world have been thinking for most of their lives.
Yes.
You don't realize the landmine you've stepped on. It's a bigger explosion than you're expecting,
it's a big pile of poodoo you just stepped in, you know?
Well, I think the different Star Wars shows probably will have different vibes to them with different showrunners, like you said. So Jon Favreau being the showrunner of The Mandalorian, and this, it's like that's why they feel kind of similar. Which goes back to my take I told you guys. They should have a show just called Star Wars.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for saying this on there. That's the best take ever. It's this. Retroactively, they should be like, by the way, we're sorry we called that The Mandalorian. Obviously, that's a stupid name for a TV show.
Right.
We will now, going forward, just be calling it all Star Wars. We will update seasons as they come out, and you'd be like, oh, absolutely.
Yes.
It should just be an ongoing show called Star Wars. Maybe you separate them by different eras.
Well, you could do like The Next Generation, Star Wars Deep Space Nine, Star Wars Voyager.
Exactly.
But the Star Wars Voyager song where they sing it, though, that's where I
No, that's
really
Star Wars
love. Or
Enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's a prequel.
Star Wars.
By having a more general Star Wars show and making it more of an ensemble, I think it can focus on different characters.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch the Clone Wars, the way that show is structured, they were grouped into episodes of like 2 to 4 episode arcs, where it would be telling a singular story within that arc, focusing on different characters generally, usually Anakin or Obi-Wan or Ahsoka, but they would also have these droid side stories with R2-D2 and
Boba and
C-3PO.
Cad would have complete arcs.
Yeah. Some better than others, but there's a lot of filler in there. But I think if you did something more like that structure in a live action, that would even work better than what they did with Boba Fett, because the Boba Fett arc could be a 3 or 4 episode arc. Then you could have the Mandalorian arc, rather than the way they're structured now with these limited series of 8 episodes or 7 episodes or whatever. It just, I don't know why they structured it that way, I guess.
And Jacob, then I wouldn't have to be asking myself questions like, oh, did the guy who started the MCU universe not know how to write? If every episode he's just doing, bathtub flashbacks? Like, why are you making me question your abilities?
Yeah. Which is kind of like he did kind of get a free pass with The Mandalorian being such a huge success. They're kind of like, all right, you can do whatever. But I think Filoni does have a lot of input into this too. So I don't know if it's all Favreau, like he's the biggest name attached, I guess, but
there's a very small story by asterisk somewhere for Dave Filoni.
But Dave Filoni
there must be
generally known as the guy who George Lucas trusted as like his successor to the Star Wars lore. Like he's
in charge of the
lore.
canon. Yeah.
Which I think that's how it should be. Again, he gets the blank check, Favreau. We got what we got. It's a big ask to remember to remind people about all of our shows and do that thing in space real quick with the Kim's Convenience Guide, just in case we don't cancel the Rogue Squadron, right? Just in case we do that. So who knows? It's hard, and to compare it to Mandalorian, that first album was such a banger. It's tall ask, but hopefully, the new shows will be better. I guess at the end of the day, the Book of Boba Fett, weirdly, almost a third of it wasn't even about him. So weird misstep, but there's some good there.
I'll compare it to a dumber Favreau specific. It's the Jungle Book is so much better than the Lion King, and you go like, well, what happened there? But again, it just shows you. And Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2, of course, famously just a huge dip in quality. But again, meddling. Who knows?
Oh, he could just he'll just go do his own project, because after Iron Man 2, he went and did Chef. So we'll just do Jetster Dexter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We need a Dexter Jester show.
He needs to do a cooking
And
show.
I'll tell you what, Max Rebo better be on that show to show that he survived that fucking bomb.
Here's the real question. I think this is the last question before we get out of here. True. What does Max Rebo know, and is he pulling all the strings? He survived 2 bombings of gangsters.
Max, it's me, the guy who used to play jizz in your band. Baby, you got to leave that club tonight. I heard something's going down. Bleep. That's right, Max. You gotta go. And then
he's like the piano
at the back.
You know what would be cool? What about like a film noir type show set on Coruscant with the Coruscant underworld, and you have Dexter Jetster in there. Maybe Max Rebo takes a trip to Coruscant.
He gets a big gig.
Some bars there. Yeah. And then we have,
Billboard Max Rebo on tour.
And we see the seedy
Star
underbelly
Tour
of Coruscant. I think that would be dope.
Now, was that
of course, that would be fun to have a show in.
Was that what the failed or canceled Boba Fett video game was? The Star Wars bounty hunting.
There was a Star Wars 1313.
Yeah, 1313.
It was going to be like,
was that on Coruscant, the dark underbelly? Wow. See, and that's
it was going to be like an urban. Yeah.
Yep.
Give us that noir.
Crime in the city. Yeah, enough desert landscape. Put a show in the city of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's sci-fi. There's like big cities. There's crazy technology. Like, we want to see that too.
Yeah, the amount of time we spend on
Mister,
backwaters.
Can we give you a horse some water? We're all, of course, in space. You're like, yeah, we know.
We know.
Yeah.
We are farming moisture out here.
Hey, howdy, which is what we say on most Pelago.
It's Freetown.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Star Wars. Let's do a little bit different aesthetic, maybe. It's a big universe.
Please.
Yeah.
That's our hope.
It's a big universe. There's a lot of stuff you can focus on.
Normies, we have more Star Wars coming up. Obviously, this will not be the last time. You know it's one of our favorite topics. If you haven't already, go back and listen. I think we got 2 Mandalorian episodes. I'm sure we got a billion watches where we're like, I'm like 3 episodes into Mando season 1. Is this the best show you guys have ever watched or what?
And then
you can
9
find those
of the
early takes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got our original Starvember Warcember run of all the Star Wars movies. So go back, check for more, and I'm sure we'll be back with some more Star Wars content too, with the Obi-Wan show not premiering on May the 4th. No, May 21st or something like that. So we will return.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. So in the meantime, I think the credits are getting transferred now so we can unfreeze Joe for next week. So we'll make sure that all clears. But in the meantime, this has been your boys, your bounty boys out here.
That's right. It's your bounty boys, Maz, Colin, Atta.
That's great.
Mike Kersantin.
And this is Jacob Vanth. Howdy,
so
partner.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Y'all come back, you hear?
Y'all come back to space now, you hear?
Because we're in the future space, past future space.